Hey guys, thanks for coming. A couple quick comments about our win last week against a very good team that at the end of the year will win a bunch of games, a bunch of very good players that'll have some careers in football beyond college. So it was a good win for us. The theme around here is the best thing about 2-0 is the opportunity to go 3-0. There's a lot of college football teams without that opportunity, and we'll never take that for granted. We have to fix, obviously, a lot of things, but we had victory meal last night, which is I think it's a new tradition we're starting here, and it's mandatory for all players and coaches to be at and enjoy that win. I read one of our comments by one of our players about the difficulty in winning a major college football game, and we never want to take that for granted. We have too much respect for the game and too much respect for our opponents to ever do that. I also want to thank our great fans and students that we never want to fail to show our appreciation for them turning out and obviously one of the great stadiums in college football. Our plan to win, we did not play great defense. We did not win the turnovers. Red zone, we were 4 for 4 with 3 touchdowns, but still not where we need to be. We had paid to score touchdowns, not field goals. And we're okay in the kicking game, but really one of the few times that I can remember in the last years and years is that it really didn't have much of an impact. The one area of our team that is playing very, very well, but they had a penalty as well, is our kickoff team. 3 times against a good kickoff return team, we hit them inside the 20-yard line. Field position stat was nothing significant. And third downs, Ohio State was fairly productive at 50, but our opponent was also very productive, so we didn't win the third downs. Champion efforts on defense. John Simon, although they were doing some things to kind of take him out of the game, he was a champion. John Hankins also played very well. Very, very disruptive in there. We actually started him at defensive end because of the size of that tight end, and we thought there would be more power the week before. They changed their entire game plan from the week before, and that's the reason we started Tommy Shutt inside and John Hankins on the defensive end. He was also defensive player of the game, so obviously not what we're looking for on defense as far as champion efforts. On offense, Andrew Norwell played great as a champion. Evan Spencer is a guy that I think he's starting to earn the right to get more involved in the offense. He's very consistent. Devin Smith, very good to see. Had a couple yards 22 yards after a catch, and had 6 catches for 57 yards. And Philly Brown was the offensive player of the game, graded out 95%, which is extremely high for a wide receiver. And he's right now our best playmaker on offense. Special teams player of the game was Jamal Marcus, a true freshman out of North Carolina, and is kind of making a little name for himself on the way his effort. Areas of concern offense, obvious number one is turnovers. We had 3 turnovers, which is inexcusable. One, our offensive lineman went the wrong way, and we got hit in the backfield. The ball's on the ground. One, our down the line tailback was in, which is no excuse. We need to work on that mesh. And the third one was interception, that we just made a bad play. So those can't happen. On defense, our tailback position is a concern right now. We're down to preseason 3-4. We have 3 tailbacks out. I know you asked about Jordan Hall. I don't know. He's going to run today, and I'll know more. He was out there working a little bit yesterday, so there's a chance. And our tight end and our offensive line group, both those positions need to play much better than they did. Have high expectations for our offensive line. On defense, we need to stop giving up big plays. That has to stop now. And that's 2 weeks in a row we're giving up some big plays for a variety of reasons. We need to identify our pass rushers and get some more pressure on the quarterback, which correlates perfectly with pass defense, and we're just not very productive in those areas right now. Kicking game, like I said, the area of concern, we have 3 penalties. I don't know if we've ever had 3 penalties in kicking game. One, a kid's helmet came off, one, the delay game, and then the third one was can't remember what the third one was. But kickoff team is the one unit that I'm kind of jacked about coaching, and I like to be around those guys. the other ones, we didn't punt very well. We had a bad punt. We expect 4-second hang time, or 4.5 second. It was under 3. So obviously, we pride ourselves on forcing fair catches, and that didn't happen. Our opponent, Cal, Pac-12 team with Pac-12 players and coaches. Very unusual defense. They run like a bear, which is a 46 where they shade the nose, or they play the nose, and then 2-3 techniques. Very unusual defense. Very good players. They led the Pac-12 a year ago on defense. Offense, they have a very accurate quarterback, 64% completion rate, and a very athletic team. So I'll answer any questions for you.
In light of all the uncertainty in running back, what do you do? What's your plan going?
Get the guys ready to go. Get Briante, talented freshman. Rod Smith been around here. Talent is not an issue anywhere at running back at Ohio State. So we just got to coach them better and get them ready to go.
How comfortable would you be with Briante to start Tuesday?
He has a good Tuesday and Wednesday. Absolutely very comfortable. He's a good runner. He was a true freshman playing in the stadium. He had some glaring missed assignments, which we gotta coach him through that.
Front right, David? Yeah, David, piggybacking off that, how ready do you get the sense Briante is for this stage, coming off those mistakes, or is it something he just has to play and that's the only way to see it?
No, he doesn't have to play. No, he's got to have a very good Tuesday and Wednesday where he won't play. I mean, that's the only way I'm gauging it. It's one thing getting your mind right to go be a backup or a third-string tailback for a game. It's another thing getting your mind right to be the guy that's going to jog out there with the first offense. But the comment you say, just go play, there's no just go play. He's got a Tuesday and Wednesday is going to be really, really critical. Whoever has the best Tuesday and Wednesday is going to line up at tailback.
Austin Ward, ESPN. You talked a lot about Ward. He had a number of carries in that game on Saturday. You talked about his strengths. Is there something about him that would give you pause to put him out there as a full-time power running back?
Sure. Sure. The last sentence?
Just what would it be that would keep you from turning to him?
If someone's better than him. Other than that, no, I have no question. I've said that since spring. I think he's got good feet. I think he's a pound you. He's carried the ball. I don't know how many times he's carried the ball, but he's been fairly productive. You know, he's got to just have a good week of practice.
Middle, Dave.
Coach, can you talk about Braxton Knowles' mechanics? I know Tom Herman's mentioned a lot that he's happy with his upper body mechanics, but lower body mechanics can be a mess at times. How's he coming along in that respect?
Oh, better. You know, he gets really good, and then he does something like, what was that? You know, he just, but it's a normal maturation of a quarterback, and he knows it, he sees it. I mean, everybody can see it. You know, we kind of did a play action pass, and boom, he threw it into the ground because he's got great release. I mean, he's got great release, good arm strength. So we're just trying to push that maturation as fast as we can. And the other times he's just beautiful in the pocket, sits back there nice and pops the ball out there. And we have a lot of quick release stuff. We don't hold the ball very long for a lot of reasons, but he's really very good at what we do. We just got to probably do more of it. Now that we're developing our receivers, I can see a little bit more of that. I mean, those guys there's some guys making a few plays for us.
Name and affiliation, remember guys, far right Don.
Coach, a couple of things. Dom Tavares. Status on Nathan Williams, and talked about Corey Brown. How do you get him the ball more, and do you maybe think outside the box?
Nathan Williams, first time I've dealt with this type of injury. I don't know Nate as well as the guys who've been around here a long time. The one thing is he loves football, loves Ohio State, so it's just a tough injury. And from everything I hear, he's actually on schedule, you know, so it takes time. But I'm hoping we have him this week, but I can't, you know, that's going to be, I think for the next 10 weeks, it's going to be, how's Nathan Williams doing? It's going to be probably the same response. I don't know. You know, we'll see how he goes this week. And the second, Philly Brown, yes. Yeah, I've already noticed we did that last week. That was a sideline adjustment. We threw a little swing pass to him when Carlos went down. So, yeah, we're thinking outside the box a little bit to get him more involved.
Far left, Lori.
Lori Schmidt, 97.1 The Fan. Coach, you said you wanted to touch base with your defensive coaches and get a sense for why the pass rush wasn't quite there. What did you come away from that discussion with?
That we need to, we do a lot of times we drop 8, which means there's only 3 pass rushers. And teams made a decision when they drop back to pass. On quick game, they're getting guys out. On non-quick game, they're max protecting, which is not unusual. And so the teams are doing a good job defending us and defending our best pass rusher. We need, I think Nate Williams would help on the other side. Right now we're counting on a true freshman to be on the other side of Simon. So I could list a multitude of reasons and excuses and so on and so forth. We have to get better, and we have to hit the quarterback, or it's going to be a long year. And there's 2 ways of doing it. One is defeating a man in a pass rush, so I'm going to go beat him and rush the quarterback, or I'm going to blitz and try to confuse you. And the answer is we need to do both, because I'm not sure, we don't have 4 guys right now that could just beat their man. Hankins did a really good. Hankins played well. John was getting a lot of double teaming on him, but we just need to get better at the other spots.
As a follow-up on that, you once said that after training camp it's tough to improve because you're only really practicing 2 days a week. But is that necessarily the case if the things that you're hoping to improve on are such things as schemes, communication in the defensive backfield, and maybe reading on offense?
Very impressed that you remembered I said that, because Tuesday and Wednesday is all you got. We go out there on a Sunday, and Sunday you're just trying to get their body to recover from the game. Monday they're off completely, and then Tuesday, Wednesday you go out and work, and you can't beat them up because a lot of times guys don't even practice it or hurt. So the amount of improvement that happens during the course of the season is not that much. You'll see it, but there's not that much. It's certainly not the individual improvement and fundamentals. That's so hard to find time to do that. That's why we have such a great emphasis on that in spring and training camp. But that's a wonderful question. It's a question that I sit and stare in front of my board, in front of trying to put our practice schedule together and say we're not very good at this. How do we take time away from practice to get that done? But that's the essence of what I'd probably spend 20-25% of my job doing.
Front middle, Steve?
Yeah, Coach Steve, how I get about that's the question I have. It seemed 3 or 4 times you had broken plays in the course of the game on offense. Was there a theme for running back take the wrong step, did the quarterback turn the wrong way? What you see there, and is it in those instances? I think Braxton turned a negative into a positive a couple times, but obviously not what you want.
Well, we had linemen go the wrong. We had if it was one, I think you guys know me well enough. I'd tell you. I'm not trying to save someone's feelings, or we're just going to tell you, be as honest as we can. It was a multitude of reasons. Yes, the tailback went the wrong way, glaring. Just it was potentially a big hit. We had an offensive lineman go the wrong way. We had the I don't think Braxton went the wrong way, but we had some glaring errors that occurred, that didn't surface in the first game. One time we had a misalignment by a receiver, and he's running across, and all kinds of nonsense going on. So it was not a very clean game for whatever reason.
Is that a factor of the new offense or the up-tempo nature of it that just they didn't get a signal and it's just confusion and you're just going? I don't know, what do you sense out of it?
If it was one thing that'd be fixed tomorrow, I think what you just said, it's you're down to a tailback why he go the wrong way. He hasn't actually had a lot of reps of that in practice, and he's probably locked up a little bit because he's not played in that many key situations like that. How's a receiver line up the wrong way? Those are all things we're addressing, and it was a tough meeting with our coaches too. I expect more.
Front left, Doug.
Doug Harris, CPI News. Urban, I wonder if you can give us an update about Carlos Hyde, how he got through it, and also Michael Bennett. And then my second question would be, kicking unit-wise, do you feel like you found something with kicking a little bit short and trying to pin him inside the 25?
Okay.
Carlos Hyde and Michael Bennett.
French fried, man. All right, Carlos Hyde. Positive on Carlos, it's an MCL sprain, and he's actually did not swell, which I guess is I know that because I've dealt with so many MCLs, and he's a tough guy, so it's fairly positive as you can be for a serious MCL sprain. That's kind of. So there's a chance he won't play this week. Michael Bennett had that groin injury. It was more significant. We MRI'd it, and there was some damage there, so it's going to be a couple more weeks. I don't believe he'll be ready for this week. And
Kicking unit-wise, you get him in It looked like-
Yeah, I kind of like those guys. I just like those guys. I mean, they're going to all be in here today, and they're getting a little mojo about what they do. We have a saying around here, be the best in the country at what you do, and they're trying to be the best at what they do. Jamal Marcus, Najee Murray, I know I'm going to forget one, Najee Murray, David Perkins did a very nice job. That'll be the last time you see him stand up and do his little deal. Our kicker does a very nice job. He puts it where I ask him to put it. Jamie Wood's a very selfless player. Archie Griffin, or Adam Griffin, and who else we got? Oh, Devin Bogart. Coming off the edge, and Taylor Rice. So there's some really cool guys on there that. I mean, that's my favorite 10 minutes of the day right now, is being with those guys.
Looks like maybe touchbacks would be a secondary choice.
That's week to week. I've not studied these guys yet, but I'll tell you what, I got confidence in doing what we're doing right now. 3 times inside the 20 against a good return unit.
Right front, Tim?
Yeah, I want to get back in rotation real quick. Tim Lake, Tom Dispatch. Jake Stoneburner, take us through whatever, when he gained your trust again, and do you see a guy really maturing coming on, and what he brings out there, why the ability to block is one of them that he's been pretty key on some big plays and stuff.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a guy that we're still trying to find out exactly, does he have the separation to run a deep pass, or especially as many plays as he's playing. His body's he's a big man to be out there running, 30-yard routes. Is he the best point of attack blocker we have at tight end? He does some other very good things for us. So I think we're still growing together. I wish I had him for more than 1 year, because we're still trying to figure out exactly the strengths. But I was very upset with him. But to say I lost my trust in him, or I wouldn't say that. Very extremely upset, like you would one of your kids. Yeah, but I don't. To say I don't trust Jake Stoneburner, that's not appropriate. I don't. Anger and upset and those type of things, yes, but not lack of trust.
Jared Small, NBC. I'm just curious about offensive line. You mentioned again after the game about short yardage situations, trying to get them off the ball. In tape study, is it individual issues or maybe some scheme things they're seeing from a defense that maybe they just...
On the 2 short yardages that we missed, it was not scheme, it was error. It was personnel error by an offensive, really the 1 or 2 guys that we should not make those errors again. But it was not like they overloaded a scheme or something there. No. And that'll happen. I mean, that's where I got to be smart. And that's why we changed we ran off tackle power to our right side the 2 times we didn't get it. We ran inside zone the one we did hit it. So I think we're also adapting. We're going to do what we can do to get them behind the best players as well. Does that make sense?
You still have a good amount of confidence in that first group, their ability to get that done?
I mean, they have to show me. It's we're 0 for 2. You tell me. I mean, doesn't mean we're not going to go for it. I don't know that. I mean, but yeah, I'm a little stung right now, and they gotta start showing it. You don't get confidence by failing at something. So to say I have a lot of confidence in them doing that play right now, no.
Or left, Dan?
Dan Hope from the Lantern. You mentioned big plays on defense being a problem. When you go on to this week, going against a player like Keenan Allen, big play receiver from Cal, what do you look at for your secondary that you need to do better to avoid giving up those big plays?
Well, there's I should probably have a breakdown for you. I don't, but what they are is lack of discipline in the underneath drop. For example, that 3rd down in 21. Well, I think it was 21. And they completed a pass. We had the good coverage call on. We just didn't sink deep enough, so lack of discipline in coverage. Missed tackles are another result. We had a big play down the sideline for about a 45, 50-yard run. It was a missed tackle. And so missed tackles and coverage errors are the 2 right now that are giving up big plays.
Front, Doug?
Doug Langeries, Cleveland Plain Dealer. Urban, if you do end up playing a young tailback this week, as you go through the game plan, get things ready during the week, how much does it change how you think about things? Is that a big deal if the guy in that position, whether it's Briante or Rod or somebody, doesn't have as many reps, or is that a position where it does not affect too much what you want to overall do as an offense?
No, it does. It affects the way we'll approach it. We are just now starting. We're still finalizing on who we're playing and trying to get their defensive schematics together, but that was certainly a topic of conversation that will impact how we game plan. The two things, those kids are talented, so it's not like we have a bad player back there. We just need to, I got to look in those guys' eyes. It's the psychological approach to coaching now with a kid, those two young players. I mean, who can handle it? You're the starting tailback against Pac-12 team. Let's go see how you do. Whenever they like this, then you got to move them off to the side, and Philly Brown's got to help us out and something else, And so we'll know more Tuesday and Wednesday because that will be addressed in a big way. We're not going to wait till Saturday to find out if they're going to step back at you.
And then as far, again, with the game plan, talking again for 2 weeks, the number of carries for Braxton, as you sit down and talk about that this week, how do you think you'll approach that? Do you feel like you guys have to do something a lot different to reduce the number of carries, or is it not that big?
I think part of it, we have to, some of the carries are a result of errors at other positions. For example, someone goes the wrong way, what's he do? He runs for 7 yards and gets whacked. One guy, we have a design play and we miss 2 blocks, and instead of pitching the ball, he gets whacked. So that position is going to have to do a lot of things. We have to play better around him to eliminate some of those carries, and hopefully, once again, the job description is to win that game. Now, we also, the player safety and being smart is a big part of that. So he's just my gosh, is he a good runner? And we all see that, so we just got to be a little smarter. But it's not, we're not saying, okay, run the ball 27 times. You block him, block him, block him. Brack's not going to run that. He's going to throw it or he's going to hand it off. So we just got to play better around him. Does that make sense?
Back left.
It's not 27 runs, if that makes sense. It's not 27 here, Braxton run. It's.
All right, Coach. Clay Hall, ABC6, Fox 28. Hall of Fame weekend. Mike Vrabel going in the OSU Hall of Fame, as is Bob Knight. You talk about both of those guys. Did you rub shoulders much with Knight ever, and did you take anything from his philosophies?
Absolutely. I love Coach Knight. Coach Knight and I are friends. I invited him down to speak to my football team when I was at Florida. We keep in touch. Just a coach that everybody has opinions of. I have my own. I think he's a master motivator. He does it the right way. He doesn't cheat. Maybe goes about things a little different, but that's not my job to judge. I like to judge the character of a guy, and I know one thing, he does it the right way as far as following the rules, and I've always been impressed with that, and graduating players. So, and then obviously my man Mike Vrabel, before I was fortunate enough to hire him on my staff, I was a fan of his. And that's not just because he's from Walsh Jesuit, and I knew all about him there. Jerry Ridden, one of my good friends, was his coach. Watching him here as I watched the Buckeyes from afar, and then really admired Mike when I got to know him when I used to go visit New England, and my friend Coach Belichick, and I'd watch the way he worked and trained and the way Coach Belichick talked about him. So it's be a great weekend for all those guys.
Bill, Brandon.
Coach, Brandon Castle from the Ozone. Just with Braxton, you talked about him carrying that at the end of the last game. You said he was blown out a little bit. Do you worry about his durability, or do you worry about maybe some of the mental mistakes you can make when you have run the ball that much? It looked like maybe the interception, what the mechanics were kind of.
Yes, I do. That's all. That's not. I don't just worry. That's true. I mean, an athlete that gets fatigued often, you give in a little bit in certain areas. So we have to have enough plays where he can hand the ball off a little bit and compose himself, and those are conversations. But when you hand it off, you got to hand it off to someone. And when you throw it, you got to throw it to someone. The good thing is we're improving in a lot of areas, so we just got to do that.
Is that tougher for you guys in the heat of battle, though, because you do want to win that game, and he's the best guy, and to carry the ball, is it a little tougher when it gets to that point?
It's what we do. It's what we get up every morning and try to do. Win that damn game, but take care of your guys. He is a hell of a football player now. I mean, if you really study the game with the copies we have, he delivers punishment, he goes hard, he's a hell of a football player. I think a hell of a football player. Better than even everybody in this country thinks right now. That's how good I think Braxton Miller is. But we got to be, be smart. And he got tattooed a little bit. But we all got to take care of him. That's kind of the message I'm giving you my team meeting, the offense here tomorrow. Got to take care of him. Now he's made some mistakes too now. But great problem to have. Hell of a football player behind center. It's a good problem to have.
Middle left, David.
Dave Burns, Toledo Blade. I know
I know the schedules are set here in advance, but in a perfect world for you, what would your ideal non-conference schedule look like? Does that philosophy maybe change a little bit in the Big Ten, where all 4 games are stacked at the beginning versus other conferences where they're kind of spread through the season?
I have not, Gene and I have talked about that quite often. We share a very similar, we want to play, I think, a national team, upper middle, and then maybe a couple other ones, That's kind of, I think, where we're at, but you kind of catch me off guard, so I know Cal is a national game. We got to go travel out there next year, and they got national players, so.
Middle right, Jeff.
Jeff Spiller with Buffalo Sports Bulletin. You mentioned Cal's going to bring in a sort of a unique defense. What kind of challenges do they present with what you're trying to do on the ground game?
Well, it's a very, it's not unsound at all. It's just not normal. What am I going to say? Unorthodox style of defense. Our guys right now, we're put in a new system. We made errors against a very traditional defense last week, very traditional. So that's my biggest concern, is making sure we have a tight enough package, because sometimes there's a lot of rule breakers. And so we got to really tighten it down. If you got a big veteran group that's done this for 3 or 4 years, and go. But this is not that kind of group.
Back left, Rob.
Rob Oliver, Columbus Dispatch. Urban, I think John Cooper, you said last week, kind of scouted out Central Florida talent. He scouted Cal. And
Sure.
What are you looking at in terms of their NFL talent in comparison to Central Florida and just overall?
I think they got 3 more. Every senior, their corner, I have it right on a sheet of paper. He just gave it to me. My what do you call them, bird dogs, my scout, Coach Coop, came in, and there's, 7's a high rating, I think, high first round. They got some 6 and 5s, which means they're very draftable players. And the one, because I just was watching them, is their corner is a projected high guy. Their defensive tackle is projected fairly high in the NFL draft, and I'm still getting to know. We're right. That's what we're doing right now. But yes, to answer your question, Coop does do that, and they have. You'll see some Cal Bears going to the draft next year.
Compared to Central Florida, can you do that? I mean,
yeah, more overall, but the top end of Central Florida can play anywhere in the country. It's just probably Central Florida's of the world. They just don't have the, because they don't recruit the Pac-10 guys, or Pac-12 guys. This is. I know they struggled in a couple games, but it's not because whatever's going on. It's not. There's talent all over that damn field.
Middle,
Coach, have you ever even considered letting a coach go mid-season during your 11 years as a head coach?
Let a coach go.
Firing a coach during the season.
I was going to say, where's he going to go? No. No.
Any reaction to what's going on at Wisconsin? They let their offensive line coach go after 2
Jerry
years.
just told me that. No reaction.
front, Austin.
Austin Ward, ESPN.com. Irving, you referenced that you guys might need to blitz a little bit more to get that pressure. You guys went into the year. How much of the package and what you guys wanted to do was predicated on getting in with just 4 guys? How substantial would the changes be if you had to put in some blitzes this week?
Not much. Luke's very familiar with that, so is Coach Withers. We actually met this morning at 7 o'clock and went through a lot of that. I think the fact that Michael Bennett is not, he was kind of a guy we counted on, so you had a very good pass rusher. You have Bennett and Simon and Hank, and then you have Goebel. Those are kind of our 4 guys. Now you're playing with freshmen, and some other guys are getting better out there, but just we were kind of counting on that. So as all teams deal with injuries throughout the course of the year, that's kind of set us back a little bit. So it's not discomfort, but traditionally, are we a huge blitz team? And as Coach Fickles and the Buckeyes been for the last decade, no. But that's certainly in our package, and that might happen this week.
Right front, Tim.
Yeah, Tim May, Columbus Dispatch. Urban, speaking on that, the 3 freshmen, looks like Washington, Spence, and Shutt, looks like they may play a lot now. I mean, are you looking at all there, or what have they shown you that piques your interest about them in particular?
Well, first of all, they're great guys. They work their tails off, and then they're talented. And there's no issue as far as want to, no issue as far as try hard. It's just freshmen playing defensive linemen. So that's going to get better and better and better. And as a result, you're going to get some learning issues or some production issues where we had some just flat misalignments. And that was usually one of those kids that just lined up, Ron. So as they continue, I mean, those are three good names that the Buckeye fans are going to like to watch for the next several years. Now we just got to get them ready sooner.
Hey, one other quick follow-up. Cal's defense had a lot of trouble, it looked like, with Nevada's pistol. And they run a lot of inside, all that stuff. What did you see?
Oh, what stuff? I want to hear it.
Well,
If I gave you a board, could you diagram it?
they run some similar stuff that you got. I'll get into it, don't you? But anyway.
Oh, sure you will, Tim.
Did you expect a big, was that a big learning moment for them as far as getting ready for you guys?
I think so. I think Nevada, a really well-coached team, good players, but they do run similar schemes, and so we're learning from that. We also studied Oregon the last few years. One year they defended them really good. I think it was 15-13, something like that they won, so really studying that. But all that is correct. When you see a team have success running similar type plays, now you have to kind of get in the head of their defensive coach and say, what adjustments will they make? Nevada did execute at a very high level, and with a little lesser personnel than Cal had.
Back left, Matt.
Matt McCoy, WTVN. You mentioned the coverage errors on defense. What is that coming down to? Is it, do guys know the defense that they're supposed to be in and are just screwing it up, or is there miscommunication, like one guy thinks they're in one thing another, or it's, and how do you, is that a communication thing with coaches? How do you address that since it's happened?
Well, I think, and our coaches believe it's as well, as lazy. Sometimes you'll quit looking at the whole entire call. When you get beat on a big play, sometimes it's because that guy ran by you and they beat you. If off the top of my head, I don't think we've had that. It's been because of either community. Early in the season, Travis thought we were in a different coverage, and they ran, because he didn't finish the coverage call, and that's just lazy lack of discipline, and that's unlike him now. He's been playing with great discipline. And then not getting a proper depth, I call that a coverage error. For example, on 3rd down and 21, and the guy, they throw it over your head, that's just lack of discipline and maybe lack of game reps. And that's staff, and that's our staff's job to go get that corrected. So it's not guys getting beat, it's lack of discipline and maybe lack of toughness, maybe it's lack of reps. It's one of those three things. So if it's a tough guy doing it, then it's lack of reps. If it's an undisciplined player, then it's a player that doesn't, have the discipline that we have to get, make sure he understands how important that is. So it's one of those three areas.
Is Howard going to be okay, by the way?
I think so. Yeah, he's moving around pretty good. It was just stingers. He had a couple of them, though. He's sore.
Couple more questions. Bill, front.
Dispatcher. I think the longest completion last week was 15 yards. How much of a concern is that, or because of the design of your offense, take what you get, or how big a concern is that?
That's a concern, and that's if in hindsight, I think we took a couple shots. I can't remember, but we have to, because they're forcing us right now. Teams are saying we're going to stop, and I imagine this week, I've seen it on film. They play a coverage we call zero mouse, which means there's zero safeties are all within 6-7 yards of the line of scrimmage, and they're going to force you to go over the top. The problem is the guys they have playing man coverage are really good players, so it's going to be a lot of one-on-one matchups, and we have to take that shot. Understanding that you might have a couple foul balls, but you hit one of them, then that's the risk. Then that goes back to the risk reward. Here's what goes through a coach's mind. 1st and 10, you take that shot. It's 2nd and 10. 2nd and 10 is hard to recover from, as opposed to 2nd and 6. 2nd and 5 is now you're back on schedule. So you'll hear me say throughout my time here is that we want to stay on schedule as much as we can. So you got to roll those dice once in a while and take that shot, but then you're off of schedule if you don't hit it. Does that make sense?
Do you feel like your receivers and your quarterback are well suited to be able to keep them?
Getting closer. I did not feel that way in spring. I did not feel that way through beginning of the training camp. I'm getting real close, and I know our coaches are getting real close to having that trust that we all, with Philly and Devin, are the two off the top of my head that I trust.
Last question, Steve.
Yeah, Coach Tedford at Cal is probably the best coach that program's had in the last 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it is. Your exposure to him, have you ever met with him, talked with him?
Sure.
But as a background on him, what do you know, I guess?
He's one of my great friends. I've known Jeff for a long time. Studied football with him back when I was at Bowling Green. Have still to this day utilized some of his past concepts that we sat together on. We were at St. Louis Rams together for 3 or 4 days just studying football. And we spent a lot of time together, and he's part of that Nike group. So every year we spend a lot of time together. Great man, great wife, great family, and got a lot of respect for him as a coach. Thanks, guys.